Weapons, the brand new horror film from Zach Cregger, the same director who shocked audiences with Barbarian. To be honest, this film is pretty polarizing. There are some genuinely interesting moments, striking visuals, suspense, creepy atmosphere, but overall, it feels like it lacks real depth. At first, I honestly thought this way, but after sitting with it, I now realize it's much deeper than it first appears. But we talk about that later. And just to clarify, Weapons isn't based on a novel. There's no original book behind it. The entire story comes straight from Cregger's own screenplay. What's unusual, though, is its POV structure. We get to see the same events unfold from different characters' perspectives, almost like puzzle pieces slowly coming together. Welcome to Top 2 Day. Today we're diving into Weapons. Is it actually scary or just overhyped? Let's break it down together. Grab your snacks and let's go. The movie opens in the small town of Maybrook, Pennsylvania. Everything seems quiet and ordinary, until one night turns everything upside down. 17 first-grade children from one class mysteriously vanish in the middle of the night, every single one of them, except for one boy, Alex, and his teacher, Justine. At 2:17, the kids run out of their houses on their own, in a really creepy way. Some of them look like hardcore Naruto fans. Others like they've just logged too many hours in War Thunder. The scene looks great, definitely works visually, but we're never told why they're running like that. Anyway, moving forward, our first main focus is Justine, the teacher. She quickly becomes the #1 suspect in everyone's eyes. Even though the police can't prove she had anything to do with the disappearance, the parents, and the whole town really, keep pointing fingers at her. They demand explanations from anyone, but especially from Justine. She tries to defend herself, insists she knows nothing, but no one believes her. The pressure becomes too much, and eventually she's forced to leave and retreat to her car. Trying to escape her problems, Justine heads to a store to buy some booze, and there she runs into this guy who casually asks her for spare change. Remember him, because we'll come back to that later. After grabbing her drink, Justine gets a threatening call from an unknown number, and when she returns to her car, she feels like someone might be following her. Back at home, her paranoia keeps building. It all peaks when there's a sudden, unexpected knock at the door. Nothing truly dangerous happens. She rushes outside only to find a chilling message scratched onto her car. The next morning, Justine drives to school. In a tense meeting, the principal warns her to stay away from Alex, reminding her how fragile her reputation is right now. Later that day, Justine stops by the police station to file a report about the vandalism. While she's there, we notice a familiar face, an officer she clearly shares more than just a friendly connection with. Sure enough, in the very next scene, we see them drinking together. This moment really fleshes out Justine's character. She's not as innocent or straightforward as she first appeared. When she wants something, she'll push for it, no matter the cost. By morning, though, the mood shifts. Still, Justine clings to him, acting like she's in love, while he's clearly just looking for a way to escape the situation. She also asks the officer about the case, how the investigation is going. He tells her they're doing their best, but as viewers, it's clear they have nothing at all. The case is going nowhere, and that hopelessness only adds to the tension. After dropping the officer off, Justine spots Alex on the street. And of course, she can't resist following him. Curiosity completely takes over. Approaching his house, she runs straight into the film's first real jump scare. Inside, Alex's parents are just frozen, sitting motionless on the couch like lifeless mannequins. To make it even weirder, all the windows in the house are covered, giving the place a suffocating, eerie vibe. Shaken, Justine calls the school principal to report her concerns about Alex's parents. But instead of taking her seriously, he scolds her for crossing boundaries, reminding her once again that she should not be in contact with Alex, let alone trying to barge into his house. The conversation ends badly, leaving Justine even more frustrated and isolated. Later, she stops at a liquor store again, but this time, things take a darker turn. The wife of that same police officer ambushes her. She drenches Justine in alcohol, screaming that it's her fault her husband slipped up. The attack terrifies Justine, but she survives it absolutely unharmed. Next, we move to Justine's home. The day is behind her, but the real nightmare is just beginning. In her sleep, Justine finds herself wandering the empty school halls. She walks into her own classroom and sees a disturbingly eerie vision of Alex. Just as she thinks she's woken up, she runs into a pretty cool, though maybe a bit overused, jump scare. After those disturbing nightmares, Justine finally decides to talk to Alex, but the boy suddenly acts aggressive, demanding that she leave him alone. Still, Justine insists on seeing his parents. Knocking on the door doesn't help, so she decides to stake out the house instead. She falls asleep in the car, and then comes what might be one of the film's best scenes. Yep, this woman just cut off a lock of her hair. We will know later for what. Next, we're introduced to Archer, a man shattered by tragedy, since his child was one of the 17 who vanished. We learn he owns a construction company. We see the weight of grief he carries every day, and also notice him slipping a can of paint into his car. A sharp-eyed viewer will probably guess why. At the sheriff's office, Archer hears the same empty reassurances Justine got earlier. The investigation is ongoing, trust the process, which in reality means the police have nothing solid. In the school auditorium, Archer is the loudest voice in the room. He takes charge and openly blames Justine for everything that happened. And at this point, we also realize he was the one stalking her, and the one who wrote Witch on her car. That night, back home, Archer replays the haunting video of his son's disappearance before finally falling asleep. His dreams drag him into a nightmare where he's desperately searching for his boy. Wandering the empty streets, he suddenly notices a weapon in the sky, and the clock strikes 2:17, the exact time the children ran away. It feels like a metaphor. Maybe the kids themselves are the weapons, or maybe it's a sign of the greater threat looming over them. Eventually, Archer steps into a house, finds his son, and then comes a genuinely creepy jump scare. In the theater, it lit up the whole screen right in my face, and yeah, it definitely got me. The next morning, after a night of terrifying dreams, Archer finally has a breakthrough. He realizes his son wasn't just running aimlessly. He was heading straight, and maybe all the other kids were running to the same place, something the police in this not-so-brilliant little town completely failed to notice. Determined, Archer visits the family of another missing child. After watching the video of that child's disappearance, his theory only grows stronger. He starts mapping out an area where, theoretically, all the children could have ended up. One thing worth pointing out, throughout the whole movie, you can't really trust anyone. You find yourself suspecting everyone, the neighbors, the teacher, the parents, the whole town. And honestly, that's where the film earns some extra credit. That's exactly how suspense should work. So, after gathering the information and marking the search area, Archer is already driving there, but he doesn't make it in time. He spots Justine's car and decides to get a closer look and talk to her. The conversation with Justine immediately goes south, and things start spiraling. Then, out of nowhere, the principal shows up. Phew, good thing I managed to stop him. Who knows what he could have done otherwise. Oh yes, the scene is just awesome. Those bulging eyes in the Naruto pose do their thing. It looks really cool. Anyway, Archer tries to help Justine, but the principal only cares about her. The fight continues, and then we get thrown onto another character. Next character in this story is Officer Paul. We're quickly introduced to him and learn that he's in recovery, not allowed to drink, that his wife is away, and that he's clearly unhappy with his life. We also get a brief moment where he's noticed by Justine, but this time from his perspective. Later, while patrolling the town, Paul spots a thief, the same guy Justine saw back at the store. After a short chase, he catches the suspect and starts searching him, but then something terrifying happens in a completely unexpected way. In a fit of rage, Paul makes a reckless move, only realizing afterward that he's just made an already bad situation even worse. Panicking, he disinfects his finger, takes some quick measures, but deep down, he knows that if there really was something dangerous, it's probably too late. He brings the suspect back to his senses and tells him to get lost, warning him not to tell anyone about their little chat. Later at the station, Paul talks to his boss about what happened. The boss shrugs it off, saying maybe the boy won't report anything, and if that's the case, the camera footage will be deleted after some time anyway. Paul is angry, but there's nothing he can really do. After getting a message from Justine, he goes to see her and spends some time with her. Only now, knowing his full backstory, the scene feels very different. We also see Paul back at home with his wife, and honestly, it takes her no more than 10 seconds to catch him in a lie and realize exactly who he's been with. Yep, That's our Paul. Later, when he arrives at the station, he gets hit with another wave of stress. He sees the same kid walking inside. Paul knows that if the boy files a report, it's game over for him. Furious and desperate, he completely loses it. And right in that moment, the film shifts us to another character's perspective. Now we get to see the story through James's eyes. The same thief, the troubled kid who might have even infected Officer Paul. His journey, or rather his desperate path, starts with a shortage of, let's say, medicine in his blood. James roams the town looking for quick cash, and in a local pawn shop he notices a flyer. $50,000 reward for any information about the missing children. With no money in sight, he decides to break into a house, which leads to the chase and his encounter with Paul. After Paul lets him go, James is back on the streets, still hunting for valuables to sell. By sheer coincidence, he ends up at Alex's house. Its abandoning look catches his attention, and inside, James finds some silverware and Alex's parents, sitting stiff on the couch, like lifeless puppets. Creepy as hell, but James doesn't even care. He just keeps stealing right in front of them. Then, searching deeper in the house, James stumbles into the basement and almost uncovers the entire mystery of the movie. He finds all the missing kids standing frozen, doll-like, just like Alex's parents. But the second the parents begin to move, James panics and bolts out of there. That's when it hits him. He could grab the 50 grand. All he has to do is go to the station. Risky because Paul warned him never to set foot there, but the lure of money and drugs outweighs everything. Naturally, Paul chases him down. Hiding in the forest, in his makeshift tent hideout, James encounters a jump scare that honestly reminded me of Pennywise the first time I saw it. Terrified, he hides inside the tent, clutching his needles like weapons. But when the flap opens, it's not a demon or Pennywise. It's Paul. And guess what? Paul ends up with 3 new bites and triple the stress. Instead of finishing it right there, Paul listens to James. The boy begs him to check Alex's house. Paul, already suspicious and desperate for answers, agrees. He also asks if James is sick, but James himself has no idea. So, Paul drives him to the house. Paul is not calling for backup. He steps inside alone, while James watches in panic, knowing full well that the evil is in there. After waiting until nightfall, James sees Officer Paul come out of the house. But something is wrong. His movements are strange, and he looks furious. James tries to resist, but it's useless. Paul drags him back into the house, acting in a way that feels disturbingly familiar. And now, the story shifts once more. This time, we see it through the eyes of Marcus, the school principal. Taking Justin's advice, Marcus decides to meet Alex's parents and figure out what's really happening with their family. But things don't go as planned. Instead of the parents, a strange woman shows up, the same one we've seen before in the jump scares, the Pennywise figure in the woods. She's eccentric, heavily made up, and oddly unsettling. During the conversation, she introduces herself as Alex's aunt, claiming that his parents are too sick to meet. Marcus doesn't believe her and insists on seeing them. The woman just sighs, says, "That's a shame," and leaves. Later that evening, Marcus is back at home when the phone rings. It's the same woman again. She asks him to call someone under a flimsy excuse, which Marcus ignores, but his partner believes her completely. Inside the house, the characters exchange bizarre, almost comical lines, especially Aunt Gladys, who suddenly demands a bowl, insisting she only drinks from bowls, and keeps acting in the weirdest way possible. She reassures them that Alex's parents will return to school soon, all while casually wrapping a stolen item from Marcus's office around a stick with thorns. Marcus notices, but before he can react, she suddenly cuts her own hand. Everyone panics, rushing to help, but she just laughs, slices off a lock of Marcus's partner's hair, wraps it around another stick, rings a small bell, snaps the stick in two, and chaos erupts. Marcus is now under her control. In a terrifying moment, he kills his partner. Then she weaves a new lock of hair into her ritual. Finally, we see the long-awaited confrontation between Justine, Marcus, and Archer. In the struggle, Justine manages to escape in a car, while Marcus chases her into the street, only to be hit by oncoming traffic. At the hospital, Justine and Archer put the pieces together. They both realize this is something far beyond the ordinary. When Archer shows her a map, Justine immediately recognizes where the missing kids had gone, straight to Alex's house. Now it's time to see the story from the perspective of the one who witnessed it all from the very beginning. Alex himself. We actually start a little earlier, just so we can understand that Alex's parents, both his mom and dad, are good people. They love their son, they care about him, and they are definitely not the lifeless zombies we saw before. We also find out that at school, Alex is bullied by one of the missing boys. Aside from that, his life seems pretty normal. A regular kid with a normal family. But one day, things change. Alex's parents decide to take in Aunt Gladys, who is very sick and in need of help. Alex notices how strange she is, and her condition scares him. The next day, something unusual happens. Alex's father doesn't show up to pick him up from school. Alex manages to walk home by himself, but when he arrives, he sees a terrifying scene. His mom and dad are sitting at the table, completely motionless, like their will has been stolen. They are no longer themselves. They're under Aunt Gladys's control. Alex tries once more to wake up his parents, but nothing works. Gladys tells him he's misbehaving and orders him to go to his room. The next morning, she shows him a small demonstration of her power, just to remind Alex what she's capable of. Realizing that she's dead serious and ready to hurt his parents, Alex agrees to keep quiet. From that moment on, his new job begins, buying soup and feeding his zombie-like parents with it every day. Just imagine that. A kid bullied at school and then forced to deal with this horror at home. One day, Alex finds Gladys in a very weak state. She tells him she's been alive for a very, very long time, and only Alex can help her now. Since his parents failed, she demands something else. One item from each of his classmates. If he does this, she promises, she'll return his parents back to him. With no real choice, Alex sneaks into school and steals the names off his classmates' lockers, written by the kids themselves, using them for her ritual. At exactly 2:17, Gladys lures all the children into her basement. But unlike the first scene, where everything had playful music, now it's terrifying. The whole vibe is completely different. After the disappearances, we see Gladys running the show. She fools the police, leading Alex's zombie dad around and pretending he's just sick. She fools the detective too, while Alex continues feeding his parents. And as if that wasn't enough, now Alex also has to feed the 17 missing kids trapped in the basement. This all leads us back to Officer Paul. One day, Alex comes home and sees both Paul and James, realizing they've become his aunt's new puppets. At the same time, Justine and Archer arrive at Alex's house. The door opens, and Paul, whom Justine immediately recognizes, waves and invites them inside. Once they step in, Justine doesn't notice the salt on the floor. She trips the trap, and instantly, Gladys's puppets activate. With a horrifying scream, Paul attacks her, while James jumps at Archer. What follows is a really wild fight. Archer keeps punching James over and over, but it looks like his fists will break before James ever stops getting up and screaming. Meanwhile, Justine tries to cut Paul down like a potato, but it barely works. At the same time, Alex wants to help. He triggers another trap near Gladys's room, forcing his parents to attack him instead. At one point, his mom even does a full-on Shining cosplay moment. Back to Justine. On the edge of survival, she has no choice but to shoot Paul. The first shot only wounds him, showing us he really has turned into a zombie. The second shot, straight to the head, finally works. She also helps Archer, taking out zombie James with another shot. Meanwhile, upstairs, Alex somehow manages to grab one of Gladys's ritual sticks and hides with it in the bathroom while his parents chase him. Archer finds the kids in the basement, including his own son. But at that exact moment, Gladys takes full control of them. We cut back to Justine, shaken from what she had to do to Paul. But now she has an even bigger problem. Archer is under Gladys's control and is choking her to death, while Gladys laughs and cheers. But the victory doesn't last long, because Alex, the real MVP here, finishes the ritual he's seen so many times. He breaks the stick, and instantly the kids turn on Gladys. She realizes what's happening. Too late. And then comes, in my opinion, the most satisfying scene in the entire movie. All the zombie kids rushing Gladys with one goal: to tear her apart. The chase after Gladys turns into a grotesque mix of comedy and horror. You don't know whether to laugh or to cover your eyes. Eventually, the children overwhelm her, tearing her apart like some grotesque Christmas present. The spell breaks instantly. Archer collapses to the ground, free at last, and releases Justin. Archer runs through the basement, finally finding his son. With tears in his eyes, he embraces him, whispering, "I've got you. I'm taking you home." Upstairs, Justin stumbles into the living room where Alex, for the first time in forever, manages to hug his parents. Archer leaves the house with his son. A narrator's voice quietly notes, "Alex now lives with another aunt. A kind one this time. His parents never woke up. They continue to be fed through tubes. But the other children, some of them have started speaking again, little by little, a tiny spark of hope. That's it! We just went through the entire movie. As you can see, there's no real happy ending. And moreover, the film ends abruptly, even in a strange way. But let's quickly go over a few spots. I have some explanations for you, and I think you'll find them satisfying. The first thing we need to talk about is why this work was even created. As you may remember, I already mentioned that this is the original script by Zach Cregger. But more importantly, this script is also very personal. It reflects his own tragedy. The director lost someone very close to him, someone deeply important. And the entire film, its weapons and characters, represents the path of coming to terms with grief. Yes, that's right. The film is actually not really about missing children, but about processing personal tragedy, the cult of consumption, and parasitic control. Let me give you a closer look. Let's break it down by characters. Justine represents denial. The story begins with her, and we immediately see that she can't move on. She refuses to accept reality, ignores everyone around her, and keeps taking steps that force her to relive her trauma. Archer embodies anger. He's furious about the disappearance of his son, and he's willing to point fingers at anyone, even without proof, just to feel some kind of release. Paul represents bargaining, while James reflects depression and decay. Finally, Marcus symbolizes acceptance. From the very beginning, he's the one urging Justine to move forward and let go. And what about parasitism and the cult of consumption? Notice how the characters' vices align with their stage of grief. Justine drinks, Paul drinks and cheats, James destroys his body in other way. Marcus, representing acceptance, actually eats, and this is deliberately emphasized. Archer's vice? Pure anger. It's all-consuming. Finally, the theme of parasitism appears in subtle moments throughout the film, hinting that Aunt Gladys might not even be Alex's real aunt, or maybe not even fully human. She is a parasite, or at least controlled by one, much like she controls others. We see hints of this throughout the film. The chalkboard in the school, the TV program in Marcus's house, even Aunt Gladys's hair, which looks almost like cordyceps. All of this points to one thing. She isn't really an aunt at all. It's also possible that she represents some kind of urban spirit, because the characters see her even before they actually come into direct contact with her. But listen, let's stop here. This already sounds like something that might not even be in the movie itself. Instead, let's move on to the final message of the film. Its title, Weapons, and the hanging rifle with the inscription 217. What we can say for sure is that the number 217 most likely symbolizes the two remaining, Justine and Alex, and the 17 lost children. Interestingly, in July 2022, the US House of Representatives voted on new gun restrictions, and 217 voted in favor. The director himself says no political context was intentionally included in the film, but even without words, the elevated gun with the inscription 217 still feels like some kind of statement. And finally, why is the movie called Weapons? For me, it's because everything in the film is a weapon. From the external control over your thoughts, as shown through Gladys, to the control over your actions via your own vices and the culture of consumption. Even your fears, your grief, and the way people manipulate each other are weapons in this story. In other words, the film isn't just about literal danger. It's about how everything can become a tool or weapon to control, manipulate, or destroy, whether it's people, emotions, or society itself. All right, time to wrap it up. Is Weapons really as good as people say? In my opinion, yes. It's truly impressive. The suspense, the music, the overall story, the actors, and the unconventional plot make this film super easy to get into. What's more, the movie has layers of meaning that aren't obvious after the first viewing, and the number of themes it raises still sparks debates about what the film is really about. The jump scares are solid, the suspense keeps you on edge until the explanations come, and you really start to suspect everyone around you just like the main characters. And as the cherry on top, the main villain, Gladys, steals every scene she's in and brings something completely new to her role. The only thing I personally didn't like was the ending. It's a bit rushed and doesn't explain enough, but the payoff in the scene where Gladys finally gets hers, absolutely worth it. The way the film builds tension and then releases it at the end is masterful. That's it. That was Top 2 Day. If you liked this video, Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts. Did you enjoy the movie? Did you find some hidden meaning? What about the horror? Did it scare you? I'd love to see your comments below. And honestly, it would already make my day if more than 30 people watched this all the way to the end. If you're one of them, thank you. You're a legend. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in 1 week with another movie review. See ya!